Hi, and welcome back to the Astral Tourist, where I share my out-of-body experiences and astral projections, such as they are, bizarre as they may be. I did not think I would have time to record this one today, but I do, so here it is. It was just a really short one. Okay, from last night. So I want to share a really recent one from last night. I made some notes saying how I wanted to talk about a recent one, about an astral projection to Mount Shasta. Now, for those that don't know, I used to live in the Mount Shasta area. Over the last couple of years, I have not actually been traveling there as much as I would like to. While being out of body, I mean, it's such an amazing place. But it doesn't really feel as much like home anymore as it used to. And I do miss it, though, when I go there. When I go there, it all comes back. I have a lot of great memories there. It's an incredible, active, intense, energetic vortex. So places like Mount Shasta are power spots. With amazing energy. I used to have amazing astral projection experiences there, and going back just kind of brings that all back. I almost kind of want to cry, like, wow, this is what I've been missing. But anyway, moving on. This particular journey was a wild mix of high frequency experiences, total memory wipes, and that strange physical mirroring that can happen when the astral and the physical worlds overlap. That kind of clarity was all coming back to me from when I used to live there. And I really missed that because I'm not living in a power spot now, that's for sure. I became lucid right at the summit of Mount Shasta, high up on the peaks. I had made it to the top and was taken up into one of those saucer-type spaceships. I guess a medium size is what I would say. But here's the frustrating part about astral travel. When they brought me back, I couldn't remember most of it. I remember that I was willing. I remember it feeling friendly. It may or may not have been about a health issue. I'd been asking about a health issue as I fell asleep last night because I've been fairly under the weather. Sometimes I get these ET experiences when I ask for help with my health. So that's not a new thing. But I could not remember most of it. I remember I was there. I remember it was friendly. I was willing. But I don't remember where we went, what they looked like. And I think the frequency was so different or so high that my waking mind just couldn't hold on to the data download. I feel like there's a bunch of information that I now have, but it's deep inside me somewhere or in my cells, resonating and buzzing and stuff. But I just can't remember it. So there's that. So I did have a huge data download, which I was willing. I remember that and wanted. So whoever they were, I think they tried to help me in some way. I don't know to what degree. Anyway, when I got brought back down, it was more in the upper Mount Shasta parking lot. So I remember I had flown up to the top peaks, which is where I met the UFO or in beings. But when I got brought back down, I was kind of deposited in that upper Mount Shasta parking lot. Now there are two main lots, and I was deposited in the higher one. And I was becoming much more lucid. And I met a lady there and started telling her absolutely everything about the ship encounter. So at that point, I still had some memories. And I was trying to remember them by telling them to somebody else, desperately hoping that speaking it, even telepathically, sending it telepathically would help me anchor the memory. And I have all these tricks for memory recall. You can find them in my how-tos. But sometimes, even the best of us, you've got to do this over and over and over again. And even when you do, sometimes something is going to slip. So spoiler alert, it did not work. Not that it's much of a spoiler anymore. I just couldn't lock it in, which can happen. But it's always worth a try. I mean, there was this one time I thought it was my memories were totally gone. And I asked this guy who was wandering around the Astral with a huge acoustic guitar if I could etch my memories into the guitar. And then I told him he could wipe it away later. I just wanted to write on something, and that was what was there, And he agreed. And I put it down, and I remembered it when I woke up. But telling this lady didn't do it for me like the guitar did. Oh, well. So after we tried that, she was very patient and loving. After we tried that, she suggested that we go over to the lake. Now, in the Astral, Shasta Lake is a big meeting spot. It's like a big park area. So there were a number of beings and people there. I did not observe them as much as I could have because I remembered I really wanted to go swimming. I received a telepathic message from someone in the overall group. Now, I don't know if it was just for me or for the group that was there, saying that it was totally safe to go in the water. And the lady I was actually with was really hesitant and thought maybe I shouldn't do it. Like she thought she sensed a little something in there. But I decided to dive in anyway. In the physical world, I don't really get a chance to go swimming anymore, and I used to love it. So, I'm older now, and I get ear infections and all kinds of problems now in the water. But when I was younger, I could swim and swim. So the astral plane is now pretty much my only opportunity to really experience the motion of being in the water and the weight of the water and everything else. I guess I could, try to do it in a lucid dream, but in my lucid dreams, my mind makes it more of a fantasy and it's not as real feeling as when I'm actually finding water out in the astral plane in like a close to the physical kind of a dimension. So, oh my goodness, I'm really glad I went in there. Right near the surface, there were thousands of minnows. Little minnows are tiny fishes. And I've never seen so many in either the physical or the astral world. And I'm thinking some were in the physical and some were in the astral. I'm thinking now that I was in a layer that had both elements reflecting in it, as above, so below, and all of that, because I could actually feel the tactile sensation of thousands of them swimming right past my astral form. And because there were thousands of them, versus hundreds, I'm thinking there were physical ones that I was somehow sensing and astral ones, that had passed on or just hanging out in the astral or whatever. Minnows love to school up. So, and as I was enjoying the water, I remembered the golden rule of astral swimming. Can you guess what it is? You don't have to breathe, folks. You do not have to actually breathe or hold your breath or anything when you're underwater in the astral. Your physical body back home in bed is doing it for you, but do not think about your physical body or you'll get pulled back. So you just have to remember that you don't have to breathe underwater, and then move your thoughts on along. So I decided to go further down into the water to see what was at the bottom. And I just loved, doing those broad arm strokes and how it felt for my body to be in the water. And my memories came back about how it feels to be in the water and all those muscles that work. And I saw the underwater landscape of rocks and plants. And the algae in particular was spectacular. The algae on the rocks, it was super colorful and glowing with its own light, like its own green. And I've seen that in the astral before when plants are thick like that. They begin generating this kind of light in the astral. But then, of course, the astral plane threw one of its classic bizarre curveballs. Right there in the middle of all of this beautiful glowing algae and rocks and the sandy bottom, I spotted a severed male deer head with horns. So now people do hunt in the Mount Shasta area, so I guess I should not have been too surprised. Fortunately, just seeing that did not wake me up. Something to remember is the astral plane can mirror the physical, including the gritty echoes of a location. And it doesn't mean something happened recently or anything. It could have been at any time over the years. And it does not always reflect exactly what happened either. But, given that hunting is in the area, I guess something did happen and the astral was reflecting something about it. Astral projection is not lucid dreaming. It's not wish fulfillment. You explore and you see what you see. So instead of letting it freak me out or ruining my vibe, I just chose to ignore it. I mean, it wasn't going to do anything to me, right? And I kept on swimming for a while longer. Eventually, I remembered I should probably get home. That was probably my silver cord, which I never see, giving me a tug. And I ended up waking up in my physical body about an hour earlier than usual and feeling pretty good this morning, actually, instead of under the weather. I do remember coming back up through the water, through the Minnows again, which was wonderful. You're like, I don't want to say they were tickling me, but I could feel the sensations. I could feel the motions. It's a bummer that I forgot the most exciting part with the spacecraft, but experiencing the lake again, the flora and the fauna, the feeling of those minnows was incredible. And it just goes to show that astral travel isn't always a perfectly curated, pristine experiences. It's a living, breathing ecosystem where the cosmic, the beautiful, and the strange all exist right next to each other. Sometimes they're also all mixed up, but hey, it's an adventure, right? So thanks for listening to this episode of The Astral Tourist. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced that frustrating memory wipe after a high-vibrational encounter, or if you've run into the physical world mirroring during some of your own travels. I know a lot of people listening also enjoy when I share about the animals I encounter in the astral, so let me know if you've experienced some wildlife too. Safe journeying, and I will catch you in the next dimension. Happy astral travels!